What's up, everybody? This is Ryan D here from Philly's Finest Sports News on Twitter, and I got Jamey Baskow online from Philly Sports Network. How you doing, Jamey?
Oh, I'm doing great, Ryan. Thank you for bringing me on to you and your viewership. Your viewership means a lot, and I'm honored and elated to do this for your fans and your followers and your website.
Appreciate it, Jamey. Do me a favor, man. For all of our followers that aren't familiar with you or your work, give us a quick rundown on what you do for Philly Sports Network.
So I've been writing for Philly Sports Network for a little over 2 years now. PhillySportsNetwork.com. That's where you can find all my work. So if anybody that's not familiar, just Google my name, Jamey Baskow, and all this stuff for Philly Sports Network will pop up. You can view all three. I've written about 350 articles now. You can view all them if you like, or you can go on our Facebook page at Philly Sports Network, or we're on YouTube as well. So you can find some videos and stuff, for your liking there as well. It's an honor to do this for the Flyers. We're fully credentialed with the Philadelphia Flyers and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. We currently have press passes for the Reading Royals as well. This is an honor, and without all your guys' help, and ladies for that matter, we wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely, Jamey. Look, man, we're going to get right to it. The hottest thing in Philly right now, one of them at least, is Carter Hart. What's your first impressions on the kid?
The only Carter Hart I thought should have come up about a month ago. I love the kid. He was built for these type of moments. He was built for the WJC. He was built through, the CHL, in an interview last December, ironically enough, I had with him during the WJC tournament. Carter Hart called me through Team Canada, and I was fortunate enough to snag his interview anyway. But he told me that the Philadelphia Flyers told him to go to the CHL when he was drafted and be the best hockey player he could be. And sure enough, he sure was that. He was the best hockey player in the CHL over his, tenure for him for the Everett Silvertips. This kid is just calm. He's calm as a cucumber. People said before, with the season, I understand him getting sent down, and I was for that too. After a few months, seeing him down there, I figured now was the time for him to get called up. We don't have a healthy goaltender. Carter Hart could be that. This is just a situation that, unfortunately, Ron Hextall took us in, and that was the reason for his call-up. He looks, every time you think the guy is out or whatever, he's calm, cool, and composed. What more could
he started off, I think,
he just comes up
the hottest you could be right off the get-go here.
He's in fuego. For those who know Spanish, that means he's on fire.
Yeah,
but he was
absolutely.
on fire. He was on fire for the past 7 or 8 games for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms as well. He had that one bad game. It was a little over a month ago. And ironically, that Friday, he stole a victory for him 3-2. I think it was against Bridgeport. And then that Saturday, it was a back-to-back. They played in back-to-back, and they got shelled 6. I think it was 6-0 or 6-1, something like that. But you know what? Nobody in front of him came to play either. Was Carter Hart at fault for a few of those goals? Absolutely. Was that his best game? No, it was not. But I wouldn't say it was all his fault for that matter. From then on, the kid has just been lights out. Absolutely lights out down there. And I think his save percentage was a .933 within those past 7 or 8 games, during his right before his call-up anyway. I mean, I for one, am not surprised at how well he's done. Like I said, he's had this type of seasoning through the CHL and all the Everett Silvertips playoffs and their championships run. And the WJC tournaments. I mean, how much more pressure does this young man have than having the whole country of Canada on his shoulders? You want to
Absolutely.
talk about?
I mean, and as the tough thing for me at least was, I guess the general consensus was split down the middle. 50% of fans said that they thought it was too soon to bring Carter on, and then there's people like you and myself who said, "Hey, the kid is ready to go. Let's get him on the ice." So I think at least for the first 2 games, he's done a phenomenal job of exceeding expectations. Do you think, Jamey, that he can withstand the rate he's been playing at these first 2 games? And more importantly, what long-term outcome does that have for the Flyers on this season?
I'm hoping Hart stays up here the rest of the year. I don't care about the platoon or whatnot. I mean, this kid was built for these type of moments. He was playing behind a goaltender for WJC in Canada. I forget the guy's name. He was a pretty solid goaltender himself. So, he was intermixing time, with them, and he had the weight of the Canadian shoulders on his shoulder. I mean, can't get much more pressure than that. But in any sense, I think this has a long-term outcome that the Philadelphia Flyers can make the playoffs the longer that Hart is up here. I mean, he had seemed to give them some type of energy, a jolt, like Shane Gothisbehere said, on Tuesday night. He just gives us that jolt. He's got so much energy in the defense. In all five players, we're talking about team defense here. We're not just talking about the two defensemen, three forwards as well. The five-man unit there, he seems to be giving them some jolt there. And I am not shocked. I am not shocked for this. Like I said before, he was built for these type of moments. So me, for one, I am not surprised at how well he's done, throughout his past few games. Is he going to have some bumps in the road? Absolutely. Could he have a bump in the road against Columbus? The Philadelphia Flyers normally don't play Columbus very well. It's just one of those teams that have our numbers. And so it's like hit or miss. Last year we were 50-50. We won two, they won two, we were split. Columbus is just one of those teams over the course of the past few seasons. They just have our number. Ever since Claude Giroux came back, I don't know if you're familiar or you remember this. A few years ago, the Flyers were down like 5-1, and they came back and won that game 6-5 against Columbus. And from then on, it was just Columbus just had our number. I don't know why, but that every team just has a number, and Columbus seems to have our number. So could Carter Hart play bad today? Yeah, but I'm not reading into it. Because, he's going to have his bad games. Like I said, if you don't think Columbus is coming out tonight to play, they are, because they're right in the thick of things as well. And, more importantly, it's a divisional game. So could Carter Hart lay an egg tonight? Absolutely. Am I going to be like, oh, my God, he should be sent down again? No, you can't do this. One game, he's played two very good games. If he has a bad game, oh, well, so be it. He learns from it and moves on. That's the course of a young goaltender. And he will have those type of games. And tonight could be it. But you know what? I do agree with him playing tonight and not playing tomorrow at Madison Square Garden. I think that would be a little much more pressure on him. I mean, he's already had the pressure of two games. And I like Scott Gordon's the way he's handling this situation. The Garden is a Garden. And you don't think that, well, I'm not saying you, but people don't think that it's a big thing. It's a big honor and a privilege to play on that ice or floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Garden. Absolutely. Historically known that place, it just has that. And that's why I think he's starting today, is because they don't want to put that added pressure on him.
Right.
And I agree. And the Rangers have had the Flyers numbers, for amount of years as well. And I know we won the first outcome, with them, but they just have our number. And I just like how he's not playing at MSG tomorrow. I think that would be much more pressure to play there tomorrow than playing in front of his beloved, faithful here. I mean, the Flyer faithful has come back. They have risen from the dust, and rightfully so. I mean, they had a right to be away. The Flyers were going nowhere. They were a stale product. You put a stale product on the ice, what are you going to get? And that's one of the reasons why Carter Hart's up. Not only because you don't know who's going to be healthy. Brian Elliott is again week to week. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Who knows when he's coming back? He's definitely not coming back before January 1st. That is 100% confirmation. I know that for a fact. Can Neuwirth stay healthy? Who knows? I mean, he plays 2 periods and gets hurt. He's like living in a bubble. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth. I mean, Neuwirth, when he's healthy, he's a solid goaltender for the Philadelphia Flyers. But like I said, when? That's the key question. So I'm looking forward to I think we could ride Carter Hart's hand into the playoffs. I really do. With the energy that he has given this club and the way they're playing in front of him. And let me make no mistake about this. Let's give Rick Wilson some credit here, too.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you, actually. With Hacksaw being gone, I think with, obviously, Carter Hart bringing that spark and fire to the team as a whole, what part do you think that he played in the team's turnaround? I know, it's only 2 games, but what can you tell our listeners, what do you expect from him long term as well? Do you think he will have what it takes to turn this team around and get them into the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. I think, that the coaching change there with dismissing Gord Murphy and putting Rick Wilson in there. I think the guy has so much experience. He has over 20 years of NHL experience. I mean, he's phenomenal. He has done a really good. You see the spark, not only from Carter Hart, but you see the spark that Wilson's given this defense. They make a mistake, go well. And that's what I mean. They are playing carefree hockey right now. That defense just seems like competent. I mean, how many times this year have you seen the Flyers defense looking confident, bumping into each other and stuff? They just didn't know where to be. Positionally, they didn't know where to be. I just wrote an article ironically enough, on Tuesday about this. The defensive woes from the Philadelphia Flyers, they were horrible. How many times have we seen defensemen? There's 3 players at the bottom of the hash mark, right next to the goal net, or beyond that, at the goal line for that matter, with an open player in a slot right in front of their crease. It's a tic-tac-toe goal. It seems like the defensemen didn't know where to be positionally, and that is not good. You look at Rick Wilson. How many times have they called out of position? They may give up an odd man 2-on-1 here due to a line change. And that was another thing that was annoying. It was like Dave Hacksaw. I'm sorry, but Hacksaw's in charge of those lines, in charge of the line changes. And they would change at the wrong times. How many times have our defensemen been caught with a 3-on-1 the other way because of a bad line change? And that just cannot happen. And I think Rick Wilson has settled that down. Ironically, I don't even think it's Scott Gordon. I think it's Rick Wilson. These guys are out there, and they know they can make a mistake and not be penalized for it. Before, under the old regime, and I like Dave Hacksaw, but for every turnover, they would be penalized, so what do? They would grip their sticks and clutch their sticks more. Now I just think they got their confidence back again, and they know where to be positionally. And I know it's been only over a week for Rick Wilson, but you could already see the transformation that he has made with that defense. And you look on it on the PK, the defensemen are more aggressive too. And that's where I was getting at next. Lappy is more aggressive at the blue line now, standing players up. And that's what needs to happen. The zone entries, they just look more tighter in the neutral zone. And that is credit to, I'm sorry to say, I got to give Lappy a little credit here. For Lappy on a PK for that matter, and Rick Wilson tightening up that neutral zone. You cannot just have these great players just give them all the space to just come into our zone. What's going to happen 9 times out of 10 if they're flat-footed at the blue line, if they're not moving their feet, and the opponent's coming in through the neutral zone, what are they going to do? They're going to skate around them like little rag dolls there. I mean, Rick Wilson has done a really good job in this short amount of time, and I think a lot of that is also stemming from Carter Hart. Carter Hart makes that save, and it makes all the players feel good. He can make that save, and the players know it. That's how they fuel him. It gives them confidence, knowing that they have a netminder back there that's going to make that save for them to get their leg.
Absolutely. That's got to make life easier for them as well. For, like you just said, having the confidence in the guy behind you makes all the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Jamey, 2 more things with you real quick. We're going to do a little over-under here, all right? Over-under 100 points for Claude Giroux this season.
Over. I think he'll settle at 106.
106. All right, perfect. Next one, over/under 3 shutouts for Carter Hart by the time the season is over.
Under. I think this is with 1-2.
All right, and then lastly, over or under the 6th seed for the Flyers this season.
Over. I think we finished 3rd in the division.
3rd in the division. Perfect, man. I think that would excite a lot of Flyers fans.
Yeah, I do. I just think this team was too talented to be this bad before, and they had plenty of time to right the ship. By the time Carter Hart was called up, what did we have? 50 games. 50 games is a long time, and that's still a lot of games. That's a lot of games played. That's less than half the season here. If they could right the ship, I mean, by the time Carter Hart came up, we were only 8 points out of 3rd place. So, I mean, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of action. And we went through the rigor, and other teams will go through the rigor too.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Jamey, listen, man, I want to thank you one last time for coming on and doing this interview with me. Guys, if you're not familiar with Jamey's work, follow him on Twitter. Follow Philly Sports Network on Twitter, for everything Flyers. Jamey, have a happy holidays, brother, and appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today.
Yeah, happy holidays, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me on. And like I said, man, you do great work here at Philly's Finest. Sports Finest is great. And thank you for your viewership. I just wanted to add something. Travis Sanheim, get to know him. And I know every Flyer fan and their mother does, because I'm telling you, this kid's on the tear, and he's going to do well the rest of the season.
Hey, man, I'll keep an eye out for him starting today. Wait, one last thing for you. What do you got? Final score prediction for today's game against the Blue Jackets?
I think the Flyers fall this one. I think we'll leave 3-2.
All right, Jamey. Listen, man, Merry Christmas to you. We'll have to sit down and do this again sometime.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Take care.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.